Then I took a smidge and applied it down there.
This one's wife, as ever. She fucks up. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Some time ago, I described this one's wife as the gift that keeps on giving, and she has certainly delivered in that respect, providing a mass of material that demonstrates her narcissism. Oodles of instances that bear analysis to demonstrate how this mid-range narcissist conducts herself. Fresh from her attempts to take over the Invictus Games, which again provided us with many opportunities to analyse her behaviour through photographs and film and reportage, no sooner have you digested that nonsense than it's straight into some more. As ever, this one's wife demonstrates that she is useless. What am I talking about? Well, it's the 432nd rebrand of this one's wife. Some sleuthing, and I'm not clear precisely who it was who detected this, as it appeared from a variety of sources. So, if it was you that did this sleuthing and launched on the world, well done you. The sleuthing found that there was a Shopify setup for something called As Ever. And that this had a landing page which showed this one's wife in the kitchen. This one's wife believes that she's heart attack beautiful. That is the somatic nature of her narcissism. You wouldn't describe her as ugly, but age is not especially being kind to her, and she's been reliant upon cosmetic surgery, makeup, etc., which is her choice, naturally. However, you would describe her perhaps as middlingly attractive, if you were being generous. Profile shots are something that she really ought not to use. It's not flattering. It's a strange photograph because not only does it not flatter her nose, but also we see that her jaw is jutting, making her look rather smug. Also, the juxtaposition of something else in the kitchen makes it look like she's got an extraordinarily long finger. All told, it's trying to portray a picture of domesticity with this one's wife working in the kitchen, looking like the trad wife, which is her latest reincarnation. Accordingly, this having been found, it was then scattered across the internet as people then started to shake their heads and some people were confused. So what's going on with ARO then? What's this? Someone else unearthed that there had been trademark applications in respect of As Ever way back in 2022. So, did she not know which name to use? Has she been trying to run two in parallel? What a confused mess. Shortly thereafter, the page went down and was displaying a not available message and then went blank. Way to go with regard to showing off your latest incarnation. And then it reappeared with a different image, presumably taken in the back garden at Monty Shit Show. It shows this one's wife dressed as if she were an English lady, half running across the lawn, accompanied by, presumably, Lilibet. It's another odd image because she has a strange gait. It's similar to how she appeared, where it's almost as if her legs get in front of her in respect of the rest of her body, something we saw when she was papped, leaving, I can't recall which event it was now, where she was papped by the bins, a classy picture in the black dress. Once again, we don't see Lilibet's face, the child being used naturally for merchandising purposes. And thus, As Ever leaks onto the world, because it was quite clear that this one's wife had not orchestrated this news, that this had been a result of somebody undertaking some sleuthing, and the existence of As Ever slipped into the world. As ever is something that this one's wife has started to use in her sign-offs just recently. We all know that she's copying Diana, Princess of Wales, who regularly used it. And this is once again character trait acquisition on the part of this one's wife, a lack of imagination on her part, and the Diana duplication. After all, she does think that she embodies the spirit of Diana. I'm also given to understand that a YouTuber and commentator, Neil Sean, signs off with "as ever." I doubt that she's necessarily plagiarised it from him, but I suppose he'll be a little bit cheesed off that she's using something that he uses. It's certainly not actionable, though, and I'm sure he'll soon get over it. We have the save your seat at the table, the injunction to once again deliver up your email address, similar to what happened when ARO appeared. The marketing of this is a complete disaster, but this is something that I'm going to address in a separate video because it bears expert input also. You'll notice as well that at the top in the thumbnail that I've used, which utilises the two images that this one's wife's new enterprise had used, shows an image that's also plagiarised. More about that in due course. Also, as ever, is a clothing brand that operates in New York. Once again, the narcissist demonstrates her lack of imagination, the fact that she can't have an original thought, and this is part of the pursuit of the prime aims, character trait acquisition in terms of using a name that is utilised elsewhere, using a phrase that is something that Diana regularly used and trying to make it her own, utilising a logo that somebody else has used. She recognises no boundaries, she operates with a sense of entitlement which results in her taking these things and using them as if she has invented them. She sees nothing wrong in this plagiarism because her narcissism doesn't allow her to do so. What is clear that Madam has once again fucked up. Not only is she cocked up in respect of the creation of this brand, after all, ARO was such an absolute clusterfuck, as I've explained in parts passing, from its half-baked appearance with that stupid video of her looking like she was auditioning for The Ring, the lack of engagement, the lack of content, the way that we had the jam scam, then the dog biscuits and more jam, and then silence. And nothing happened with it. And as I explained months ago, the patient was dead and needed to be thrown into a shallow grave. And it would appear that that is what has happened. She just cannot see anything through to a conclusion. Its execution is amateurish. However, what is most entertaining about all of this is that this one's wife has fucked up because she's been outmaneuvered. She's been outmaneuvered because somebody found this site and has leaked it. Somebody found this information and it got out across the internet, and this immediately came to this one's wife's attention, which demonstrates, of course, that she or somebody on her behalf monitors social media, something that was also confirmed by Ashley Hansen in her podcast interview. And therefore, this one's wife was told, as ever is out. People know about it. And what did she do? She scrambled to create a video to try and nullify the threat to control that arises from this. And once again, she takes to Instagram, the narcissist making use of social media for the purposes of a nullification of threat to control and the drawing of fuel. I'm going to analyse the video separately because it merits its own breakdown in a separate video. But here it is, so you can watch and listen to what she had to say.
It's recording.
Okay. Cat's out of the bag. I'm shocked we've kept this a secret for so long. In 2 weeks, my show is coming out, which I'm so excited for. And also my business, which I think there's been a lot of curiosity about. Last year, I had thought, you know what, American Riviera, that sounds like such a great name. It's my neighborhood. It's a nickname for Santa Barbara. But it limited me to things that were just manufactured and grown in this area. Then Netflix came on, not just as my partner in the show, but as my partner in my business, which was huge. So I thought about it, and I've been waiting for a moment to share a name that I had secured in 2022, and this is the moment. And it's called As Ever. As Ever essentially means as it's always been. And if you followed me since 2014 with the TIG, you know I've always loved cooking and crafting and gardening. This is what I do, and I haven't been able to share it with you in the same way for the past few years, but now I can. So as things are starting to trickle out there, I wanted you to hear it from me first. Of course, there will be fruit preserves. I think we're all clear at this point that jam is my jam. But there's so many more products that I just love that I use in my home, and now it's time to share it with you. So I can't wait for you to see it. Thanks, guys.
Plenty to share with you about what comes out of that video, and that will be in the video that follows this later today. All I will say at this juncture is she has gone straight to social media on learning that it's been leaked, because that is a threat to her control, and this is her attempt to nullify that threat to control. But there's plenty more that I'm going to unpack for you, so make sure you watch that coming video. As I mentioned, this woman cannot see anything through to a conclusion. We've seen before the 40 by 40 scheme that went nowhere. ARO didn't go anywhere. That she's promised all of this content, very little appeared. That she was going to march on Washington with Gloria Steinem, nothing happened. She was going to power lunch with the senators, nothing happened. Time and time again, this narcissist is engaged in future faking and promised gain, because as I've explained to you, her narcissism simply says, if you can get the prime aims by talking about it rather than doing it, that's all we need to do. And because she is this haphazard mid-range narcissist that has no regard to collateral consequences, that's what keeps happening. She goes for the instant hit of announcement without the delivery. She can't even launch As Ever correctly. She hasn't managed to keep it secret, which shows what a useless businesswoman she is. And I use that in its most elastic sense to describe her as a businesswoman. You can't even keep your new endeavour under wraps. How useless are you? It gets found out by some sleuthing, and then she's forced to make an explanatory video and goes racing to Instagram again. This is all indicative of her narcissism. The inability to see matters through, driven by the pursuit of the prime aims in the instant rather than the medium to the long term. Her haphazard nature, the fact that she operates with this sense of entitlement, once again the plagiarism that takes place in terms of name, the Diana duplication, and the use of the logo. What is entertaining, of course, is the fact that she just doesn't give up. Because that's something that many narcissists have, that indefatigable spirit to keep going and going and going. Because she doesn't actually see how she is perceived. Yes, she knows she's disliked. Yes, she knows that she's ridiculed. She knows all of those things, but she never accepts them. She never has that moment of contemplation and self-reflection to realise, it's me that keeps buggering this up, isn't it? Time for a complete rethink. No. She's aware of what people think about her. She simply doesn't accept it. When it goes wrong, it's always somebody else's or something else's fault, never hers. She is not the problem. She has a complete blind spot in that regard. And I know that there are some of you who find that so difficult to comprehend that she just cannot see that she is the problem. But that is the way that she sees the world. That is the way that her narcissism functions. It prevents her from understanding that she is the central difficulty in all of this. And therefore, in the way that if you closed your left eye, for instance, you wouldn't be able to see out to the left any longer, no matter how hard you tried. You'd have to turn your head, but then you still can't see to the left. And then you turn again, you still can't see to the left. It won't change. Thus with this one's wife, this will never change. She has that blind spot which prevents her from ever understanding that she is the one that's at fault. This is part of the defense mechanism that is her narcissism. And lo, as ever, creeps into the world leaked by the sleuthing of somebody on the internet, which then has this once wife scrambling to engage in damage control, demonstrating once again the necessity of that control and the uselessness of her supposed business acumen. It does mean that there's going to be plenty of entertainment ahead with regard to this shitty brand, and look out for my analysis of the Instagram video coming next. I'm HG Tudor. Thank you for watching.